Carol Baskin killed her husband, whacked. Is that libel? Like, can I get sued for saying that?
Oh, maybe you should just put in there, allegedly.
Carol Baskin allegedly killed her husband, whacked him.
Whacked him.
Man.
The guy that does that video, like, that started that TikTok,
Yeah.
I think it's a guy. He's dressed up like...
Joe Exotic.
Yeah. And honestly, I was looking at him and I was like, I could dress up as Joe Exotic.
For Halloween?
No, like, for quarantine. Make a TikTok.
Yo, okay, is quarantine or the day that we all get out of quarantine, is that going to be a national holiday, do you think?
Oh, it just depends because, I mean, maybe the day that, like, it comes from the White House, like, okay, you are free to roam about the country.
You are now free to roam the country.
Yeah, but we're not all going to get off the hook at the same time, I believe.
There needs to be something. Like, there needs to be some either day or monument erected to commemorate quarantine days.
I agree.
Corona days. We can have a parade.
Do you know that we are currently in the 4th week of being quarantined / isolation?
We've been here forever.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, you know, I think that
It's going to be a great movie.
Why would it be a good movie? We all know it.
Like something...
Nothing happens. You don't go anywhere.
Like Quiet Place, maybe? But, like, if you go outside, you get killed by the government? I don't know.
I think that being quarantined with kids is like a double-edged sword. It's like...
How is it double-edged? There's only one edge to it. It sucks.
Well, but on the one hand, people who don't have kids are like, I'm so bored. And it's like, I don't even have the time to be bored. Like, I wish I was bored.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? And then the sucky part is you can't get any... everyone else is doing all these projects and all this self-care and all these skills. I do feel like we've had like an okay balance, but like my mental health could really use a break from, you know, having to entertain / feed / bathe / put kids to bed. And just like, I mean, we can't take them over to a friend's house. We can't take them to the playground. We can take them to my mom's, but also it's like,
can we even do that?
Can we do that? Yeah. So I think it's just a rough couple days for me. And I'm a little bit nervous about, you know, being off maternity leave.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be... I can't... let's not.
Yeah, let's not talk about it.
Let's not.
I have one story that's just really just a snippet because the snippet explained the whole story. And then I have a second story that I think you'll appreciate.
Oh, wonderful. I only have one story, and it's mostly a snippet because the story was really long. So I started reading it, and then I was like, oh, this is more information than I wanted. Just give me the bullet points.
Can you summarize? Yes. Okay. Bill and Melinda Gates are investing in the race for a cure to coronavirus. The billionaire Microsoft co-founder announced that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation plans to help fund 7 factories working on potential vaccines after announcing last month that their foundation would contribute $125 million to finding potential COVID-19 treatments.
Wow.
Honestly, thank you. The sooner we can get this figured out, the sooner we can move on with our lives. I just thank you. Wow. You know?
Yeah. I saw also, what's his name? Oh, Jeff Bezos is donating $100 million, I think is what it was. Which is like a ton of money.
Yeah, honestly, just anyone who's donating to finding a cure or things like that, anyone who's donating anything, like, shout out to you. I don't remember if we spoke about this last week, but Kylie Jenner had donated $1 million to go towards like masks and things for healthcare workers to use. And people were like, only $1 million. It's like, are you kidding? Like,
that's what they were saying about Jeff Bezos also.
I I just think, can you not be so freaking tacky? I don't know. That's the only word I can say is like tacky. You're so tacky. Don't criticize if someone else is giving something. Like, what have you given? $5? Okay. You know, like, I don't know. Let's just not criticize. Let's just say, you know what? If you give, thank you.
Great. Jeff Bezos is giving $100 million. I think Lady Gaga raised $35 million.
Wow, good for her.
Yeah, which is much better than all those celebrities singing Imagine.
Oh, that's the one thing we can criticize. That is not a contribution to society. Do not. Do not.
That didn't help anybody. It hurt.
It hurt my ears.
More than it helped.
So yeah, Bill and Melinda. Shout out to them.
Yeah, okay. Well, shout out Bill and Melinda Gates. That is pretty phenomenal. Okay. A puzzle without the pieces.
We have a little guest right now.
A little tiny guest. If you hear him in the background, just be glad that you're hearing him.
Yeah, just be grateful.
Appreciate the sounds of a newborn babe.
For all you quarantiners that don't have children, here's a taste of what it feels like.
Welcome to my life. A puzzle without all the pieces. Broadcast networks scramble to program an uncertain future.
Oh, D. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So
say no more.
With no signs of when production can resume amid the global coronavirus crisis, the Big Four, which are ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox, are considering everything, even streaming fare, as they address summer schedules filled with holes, and fall may pose an even bigger problem.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even think about that. I just figured like TV will still be happening.
Right?
Oh.
Yeah, no one thinks about that. Well, maybe people think about it. I didn't think about it either. The headline caught me by surprise. So ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox are now weighing their options. Majority of them, especially ABC because they're owned by Disney, are looking towards putting any of their like streaming shows that's on like Disney Plus just on air to fill those holes. CBS is, what are they looking at? They will not have new seasons of Big Brother or Love Island, neither of which had been shot before the world stopped. However, it does have a full season of The Amazing Race ready to go. Apparently they had a merger with Viacom, including Paramount Network, so they'll be trying to draw from the Paramount Network catalog. Fox is kind of screwed. They do not.
They just have like reality shows, right?
They don't have a streaming counterpart and no longer have a vast studio library to draw from. So it's expected that they're going to be relying on repeats. Yikes.
All right, all you YouTube content creators out there, you have the world as your oyster.
Honestly. Or just like start pitching your shows to Fox because they're going to need shows.
Or go above and beyond and just pitch your whole show to a network.
Honestly, I mean, now's the time because it doesn't seem like they're going to have stuff.
Now is the time.
Yeah. NBC is, this first sentence is just hilarious to me. NBC, the network now has 85 hours of previously accounted for Olympics programming to schedule.
Oh, snap.
So they have to fill all of the time that they had already bought for the Olympics.
Wow.
Yikes.
Well, would they do like an Olympics rerun so we can pretend we're watching Olympics?
Yeah, right? Just play the last Olympics. Oh my gosh.
That is devastating.
They have a series of unscripted shows that are already filmed. So they have World of Dance, Titan Games, American Ninja Warrior, The Wall, and Hollywood Game Night. What else do they have?
After this is done, everyone's just going to be working up a storm. Like busting out content, busting out filming, scripts, everything like that. Like, I wonder how many movies are like, okay, well, we might as well get the scripts to everyone we can right now, and then we're just going to shoot like 6 movies back to back, you know?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be nuts.
So interesting. Jay and I keep talking about how we are like, it's so weird to be in the middle of history. Like we're living things that are going to be written in history books across the world, like the whole world.
Grandkids, it was illegal to go outside at one point.
Are you out of your mind?
It's illegal. Yeah, so I mean, basically, it'll just be interesting to see what the networks do, what they fill those holes with.
Very true. I mean, let's see. I don't really watch like too much television other than The Bachelor and Keeping Up with Kardashians. And I was actually listening to an interview that Kim did on Jimmy Fallon, I believe. And she was like, yeah, we just filmed the season finale in isolation, like on our iPhones.
What?
So nobody's together. They just filmed it,
I'm kind of here for that though. That's kind of cool.
I think it's very telling of like the time. Like it'll be so interesting to see. And also I'm relieved because they can't end the show now. I've been so worried that they're just going to cancel the whole show because of what's her head? Courtney. But now I'm like, they won't end the entire show on like a quarantine season finale shot on iPhone. That's illegal for sure.
Yeah, they probably won't do that.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Well, yeah, who knows what the future of television holds?
Who knows what the future of anything holds?
No idea.
All right. Well,
what other industries like would be prepping now for the future and are just on hold?
I mean, any retail. Like this is
designers.
Summer is the big time when you're prepping, and now is the big time when you're starting to prep for Q4. So for Christmas and Black Friday and things like that. However, I don't know. I've been seeing a ton of stores like hosting big sales because, you know, they're trying to like stay afloat. But like the sales they're posting are like comparable to Black Friday. So I'm so interested, you know, how everyone's forecasting is going to plan out in terms of like their businesses. Like how is it?
Hi, baby.
That's a good contribution. Anyway, yeah, it's just going to be so interesting. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. Well, that's what I've got.
All right. Well, my next story is just so interesting. So as we've seen via social media, Peter Weber and Kelly Flanagan are quarantining together in Chicago, right?
Wow.
And
Barb is just over the moon.
Barb is, yes.
How did Barb win in all of this? How does that happen?
Well, I just don't think that Peter was going to like leave his mom. I don't know. I've heard some like speculation that like Kelly and Peter were together the whole time and that the finale or after the final rose was just like a
fan service.
Yeah. There's just like a lot of unanswered questions though. Like if that is true, why would Barb need to act like that on TV and like really ruin her reputation? Like she was Hannah Brown's season, she was like the mother-in-law that you wanted to have so badly.
Really?
Yeah, she was so amazing to Hannah. And I don't know. It just seemed like they had a good Oh.
Wow.
Do you think you can hear that?
I don't know if the people of America could have heard that.
Can we play that back really fast?
Wow. Wow. Yeah, you can hear that clear as day.
You guys, that was Ford pooping.
That is like, is that a day and a half pent up? 2 days?
I think that's at least 2 or 3 days even.
Wow.
He deserved it. You
Good
know?
for him. Oh, wow.
I'm just going to let him sit for a minute longer and, you know, make sure he's really done. And then I'll take a little break.
Because that is traumatizing when you go to change that diaper too early and there's still more to come. Mm-mm. You do not want to be in that line of fire. That is the splash zone times 10.
Oh my gosh. Shamu could never.
Oh, no shame. No shame.
He needed to get that out. Are you happy? Oh my gosh. Okay. Can I talk about Peter now? Is that okay with you, Fjord? Peter and Kelly.
Yeah.
They have
what?
now broken their silence on 2 separate podcasts, mind you. So Peter spoke to Nick Viall on Nick Viall's The Viall Files podcast. It's a podcast and a YouTube channel, and I actually kind of enjoy it. But that being said, this is what, Nick, as you have seen in some of his interviews, is like very direct. He does not skirt around. And so
I've only seen one interview.
Oh, sorry. I thought that you have watched a few more. Well, I've watched a few more, and he did like, if you're not answering a question, he asks it again, but like in a more direct manner.
Like, give me the answer to this question.
Give me the answer. Yeah. Like,
don't waste time on my podcast. Don't come up on here and skirt around. I need the answers.
Yes, exactly. So he was on Nick's podcast, and he said of Kelly, she's always been supportive of me. Long story short, I wasn't working during the quarantine, so I thought I'd go out there to Chicago and spend time with her and take her mind off some family things. This was right when everything started to hit with the quarantine stuff, and it just kind of became a thing where we've always gotten along really well and had really good chemistry. We just enjoy each other's company. Are we dating? No. Do I love spending time with her? Absolutely. We're not dating. Could I see that in the future? Yeah, of course. I'd be extremely lucky and happy if that happened. Of anyone, I'm the last person that needs to rush into any kind of relationship. I just had an engagement that didn't work out. I just had an engagement that didn't work out. I just was trying to pursue things with another woman that didn't work out. That's why right now I'm just taking it really slow. But then he did admit
that's true. He's 0 for 2.
Yeah,
He's 0 for 3. Hannah Brown, Hannah Ann, Maddie Pruitt.
Yes, but to go off that statement, I have something, put a pin in that.
Okay.
Not the Hannah Brown thing. Obviously, that's a different situation, but like his season. And then I guess he was also on Caitlin Bristow's podcast and said that he is crushing on Kelly. I mean, I just think it's like a matter of time. Ford is still like pooping, by the way. So if you hear anything else, like,
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, so that's what he said. Would you like me to move on to what Kelly said now?
Oh yeah, Kelly
Okay.
has words. Okay.
So Kelly was on Ben and Ashley I's Almost Famous podcast, and
That's perfectly named.
she's basically taken Peter under her wing. She said, especially with him. Oh, I'm reading this, by the way, and she says like.
Hi, baby. Guys, lots of distractions this week.
Lots of distractions, but this is real life.
It's just like talking to your mom and dad.
Exactly. You just gotta look us in the eye and get through it together. All right. I'm reading Kelly's thing, and she says like a ton. So.
All right. We won't judge you.
Especially with him, like you can tell he's super smart and gets it, but there's some things where you just want to shake him and be like, wake up, like what are you doing? I don't know why I took him under my wing, but there are just some things that I could tell he couldn't see, and I just felt the need to be like, Peter, what the hell are you doing? Especially with him, I could be like completely honest with him. Like, believe me, I don't hold anything back. He hears the hard truth on everything, whether it's mean, rude, he doesn't want to hear it, and he's able to handle it. And then I thought this was...
He needs that.
Totally. I thought this was so interesting, and I don't know if you're technically allowed to say this after you've been in the Bachelor franchise, but she said, I wasn't the best contestant for the show, and I think everyone knows that. But even with him on the show, I'd see him getting manipulated and just be like, can you stop? Like, make your own decision. Like, stop. Even in terms of him and my relationship on the show, the first couple weeks I saw him, like... Oh, I think she means like he looks at me differently compared to when we got our one-on-ones. And I could tell 100% that the producers were in his head. Because on the one-on-one, nothing happened between us, but he had like this demeanor towards me that was like so pissed off. And I was looking at him like, what the hell were you told? Because you know what? Nothing happened here. And for you to look at me like with this attitude. And so right there, I knew something was going on behind the scenes. And I was like, this is bullcrap.
I was always in the back of the scenes.
I know. And then she asked if she could speak freely during their one-on-one time and said, hey, Peter, they don't let me see you. Talking about the producers.
What?
Which they cut. We never saw that conversation.
Right.
Do you remember that one-on-one? I think it was
the
in
one where
Peru
they were in like the jungle. And the candle wax was like,
yeah.
which way is it leaning? Do you love each other?
Yeah, and Peter came in hot on that date. Like, he was like...
He's like, I need you to tell me that you're here for me.
Yeah, and it was so weird as viewers because nothing had happened the last time he had seen Kelly. He seemed like pretty into her. And then it was just like, he was so bothered by it all. And she continues saying, I said, you clearly know they push some people forward and they don't push others forward. And I was like, you've been in my position before. What do you want me to do? I saw that things were getting in his head and that he wasn't able to make his own decision. And it kind of pissed me off.
Dang.
So interesting.
Man, they are puppeteers over there.
They really are. And I mean, we all knew that, but it's just kind of a bummer because at the end of the day, like in my heart of hearts, I want to believe that the Bachelor franchise does mean well and really want people to like fall in love. But it's like...
Really? I don't.
I don't know. I watched this long interview from a former producer and she was like, really, that's like the root of the whole thing. Like, yes, we're creating TV, but like we do want people to fall in love. Otherwise, like the show is not successful. And it isn't. Like Love is Blind was more successful than The Bachelor for the past 2 seasons.
Well, doesn't The Bachelor have a success rate of like 5%? And then The Bachelorette is like 13%? Something ridiculous like that?
I'm not going to say those percentages because I don't remember. I know
I'm pretty sure that The Bachelorette is 13%, and then The Bachelor is like.
But is
4.
that long-term percent or is that
That's
like finale? No. I mean, is that long-term success or what happens at the finale?
What happens at the finale?
Okay, so we don't technically know what like the Love is Blind success rate is because they've had one thing, but at the finale they've had more couples than The Bachelor. But what I'm saying is like I just want to see a successful finale. Like I don't care necessarily if you guys end up together forever. Like that is a huge commitment to go from dating someone for 6 weeks to like marriage forever. But I want at least to make it to the freaking finale. Like give me some resolution here. It's so annoying.
I feel like that's what we were going to get with this season that just got postponed. What's her name?
Claire.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. I really don't know anything about her. And I'm feeling fine to take a break from The Bachelor during quarantine, especially because Peter and Kelly are together and Tyler and Hannah Brown, well, they're not together anymore. She went home to Alabama, which like, why aren't we all asking her what airplane she took during the quarantine? You know, it's just weird. I don't know.
Maybe
she keeps
drove.
Traveling. But maybe her dad could have come pick her up or
Dad,
something.
can you come pick me up from my friend's house?
Hi.
I want to come home.
I'm just a few states away.
Actually, I think it's just 1 state away. Alabama borders Florida.
Oh, well then maybe her dad did come get her. That's baby talk, you guys. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I mean, I think it's just a matter of time before they are together. I
Who?
think Kelly and Peter, sorry. I think
yeah.
that they really do want to be together. And Barb loves Kelly, as we've seen in their Instagram comments. So
Yeah. All right, well.
I mean, they did say like they're sleeping in separate bedrooms, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, so you could sleep in separate bedrooms, but still engage in one. If you're catching my drift.
Man, Kelly and Peter, Hannah Brown, Tyler C.
Yep. So that's that. That's the tea on that.
All right.
Okay, can we, before we jump into Kardashians, just talk about the quarantine, choose your quarantine house that
Oh
we
my
just
goodness.
posted on Instagram?
This is the hardest social media challenge that I've seen in a long time.
Well, I mean, we did try and like only put good people with like a few crazies in there.
Like
I mean,
Carol Baskin.
good is relative. These are people that we think for the most part are like, we like them. They're relevant, you know?
Yeah.
But we did throw in like a couple, like Carol Baskins and Joe Exotic. We did throw those guys in. But let me just tell you guys each house really quick, and then you can ponder it and go answer on our Instagram post.
Gosh, this is good. Okay, go. Go.
House 1, Kim Kardashian, Steph Curry, Michelle Obama, James Corden, Ariana Grande, Ellen DeGeneres. Wow.
What a house.
House 2, Serena Williams, Chrissy Teigen, Joe Exotic, Khloe Kardashian, Drake, Jack Black. I've seen a lot of responses for House 2.
That's a good one. Jack Black. I mean,
Listen, Joe Exotic is entertaining, but his voice all day,
that might be kind of nuts.
I'm Joe Exotic. But people are saying like Chrissy Teigen could whip up a mean meal, which is so true. You'd be eating good. Like John Legend is eating good right now.
Facts. Big facts. Big facts.
Big facts. Okay, House 3, The Rock, Billie Eilish, Post Malone, Kendall Jenner, Shaq, Dave Chappelle.
That's my house.
Dave Chappelle plus The Rock, incredible. I don't really know anything about Billie Eilish's eyelash.
Billie Eilish. Yo, you're a
I don't know much about her personality. Like, there's a difference between liking someone and then being in quarantine with them, you know?
Well, I mean, I don't know much about her personality either, but I do know that she won like 6 Grammys off a album that she made in her house. So if that's any indication, we out here making Grammy Award-winning albums during quarantine.
Very true. Okay, House 4. Kevin Hart, Kylie Jenner, Guy Fieri, John Legend, DaBaby, Simone Biles.
Gosh, that's a good
honestly
one too.
Sounds good too. Like Guy Fieri's cooking for you again. I think Kylie's actually like pretty fun personality. Kevin Hart, hilarious. John Legend just serenading all day.
Yeah, that's a good house.
House 5, Cardi B, Carol Baskins, Barack Obama, Jim Gaffigan, Beyonce, Kourtney Kardashian. I think this is the most polarizing house for me. Because like Carol Baskins is like entertaining on TV, but like she seems weird to be trapped in quarantine with.
Good morning,
but then you also have Barack Obama and Jim Gaffigan. Good morning, all you cool cats and kittens.
All you cool cats and kittens. Every morning you wake up for quarantine to that.
With her creepy long hair flowing in the wind. She's somehow always on a bicycle in slow motion.
Biking around the house.
Yeah. Okay, House 6. Justin Bieber, Kris Jenner, Oprah, LeBron James, Tina Fey, Kanye West. I think this is my house. Because
Tina Fey and Kanye West in the same house is hilarious to watch.
But I just think having conversations with Kris Jenner and Oprah like for days.
True, that's a good point.
And then like
it's a lot to learn.
I feel like Kanye and Justin can go keep themselves entertained and not really bother you. Like I'm not really down for being in a house with Kanye West like all that time, but I think that him and Justin Bieber like are on the same vibe, so they can just go have their in-depth conversations somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And then like when it's ready for like time for us to have a performance, like we can bring them out.
All right, house talent show, Justin and Kanye, where are you?
Yeah, and I just feel like LeBron is like a fun guy to be around.
Taco Tuesday.
Anyway, you guys, that's on our Instagram right now. I have to read the funniest comment. The girl, let's see. Her name is All Struggles Are Real. She said, put Jesse McCartney in a house and I don't even care who else is in there. I'm in that house.
What?
Like
Jesse McCartney?
Yeah, and I said, wow, we forgot about him, sending our best to Jesse. And she said, I just am high-key in love with him. Everyone else has forgotten about him, but not me.
Wow. That sounds like what song was that? The Jesse McCartney? Wow, I don't even remember. As soon as I heard it, I would know
for
it.
Sure.
But that sounds like that song really like did things for her.
I know. I'll think about it. People are screaming into their podcast right now.
I know.
You idiots.
Yeah, I was about to start singing On the Way Down, but that's
not right.
That's Ryan Cabrera.
Okay. Anyway, you guys check that out. It's honestly hilarious. And if you put a response in there as to why you're arguing your point, like that just brings us so much more enjoyment. So please have at it. Uh-oh.
Baby.
Okay, let's move on to Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Keeping Up.
Yes.
Let's go. UFC round 2.
Yeah. To quickly bullet point, we have Kourtney and Kim's fight finishes up. Tristan has dinner at Khloe's house. Awkward. Kylie doesn't go to Paris. And Kim and Kourtney go to Armenia. So what are your thoughts on the fight round 2?
Okay. My actual thoughts are that, sad that it had to come to blows. Yeah. Nobody wants violence, especially within a family, right?
Correct.
My podcast take is that was amazing. Glad I got to see it. Kourtney smacked the foundation right off of Kim's face onto the wall. That was pretty wild. She was really bleeding.
Yeah, she was really bleeding.
She was really out here bleeding.
Those were some scratches.
They like really connected too. Like boom, boom.
Oh yeah, like the palm to face ratio.
100%. 100% palm to 100% face.
To 100% KKW beauty.
Yo, honestly. To 100% wall. Go back and look at that, guys. Just look at the foundation that's on the wall after.
But was it from her face or from her arm? Like from body makeup?
Doesn't matter.
No, I guess not.
That amount of foundation should not be on wall. Because
very true.
You briefly touched it.
Yeah, I mean that. I've watched Kardashians for a long time. I've never seen anything that physical, right?
Mm-hmm. Even Scott was like, yeah, I've been around the girls for a long time and I've never seen anything like that.
Right. So, but we kind of had talked about off of the podcast, you and I, there's like a lot more behind the fight than the physical thing.
Yes.
So,
and that's what we're going to get into.
Okay. So do you want to finish talking about the rest of the episode and then,
come back to that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Tristan at dinner at Chloe's again. I really liked him on the episode. I don't know. I'm trying not to like him. And
that's the reason that I think it's easy for us to be like, wow, your man cheated on you. Why are you always with him? Why'd you get back with him? Da, 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 da. Like, most of the guys like are probably like pretty fine to be around or like, nice guys.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? It's just they're out here making wild mistakes.
Yeah, you'd hope that they wouldn't be like monsters. All that to say, I think that I do like Tristan as he is showing up in the show,
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope that he changes for the better and
change for the better. Because
I hope he sees Wicked on Broadway and it leaves like a really strong impression on him.
Unpopular opinion, I don't really like that show.
I don't feel like you like most of the popular Broadway shows, but that's a topic for another day.
Hamilton was whack. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. Lin-Manuel Miranda.
What?
What did I just say?
Wilmer Valderrama.
Wilmer Valderrama. It's dope what he did, like to put all those words in those songs like that. But come on, that music was.
I am not going to agree with you on that. I'm not going to. I don't want to comment on it right now.
Okay, fine.
To be honest.
All right. What happened next in the show?
All right, next up, Kylie doesn't go to Paris because she had a bloody throat.
Ew. Don't ever say that again.
Sorry, she was saying that her throat was bleeding.
Dang.
From strep and Steph. Honestly, it did sound like really miserable, and she was in the hospital as we later find out. And
right.
I think the shining moment in all of that was Corey talking to Chris, and
oh, that was a cute moment.
It was so cute. Just treat her like she's a big Stormy, and reminding Chris that she needs to be a mom first.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, the majority of the debacle, I was on Kris Jenner's side, and I was like, why won't Kylie just get a new throat?
Get it together. Get a throat transplant.
Yeah, get on your little private jet airplane.
Get to Paris. Olivier's waiting.
Yeah. Wow, I could look at him all day. He's so interesting to look at.
For some reason, I knew you were going to say that.
He's like a sculpture. He's like a work of art.
Work of art.
Yeah, I liked Corey in that moment, and that was coming a long way because last season he got into that fight with Courtney and Scott over spanking Penelope after she scratched her nanny in the face, and the nanny quit.
Mary Poppins.
It just seems, a little full circle moment of like, maybe if Courtney is going to spend all of her time with the kids, her kids will end up being better behaved. Like one can only hope.
We can only hope at this point.
All right, let's move on to the Armenia trip.
Yo, let me not even say anything about anybody's kids because I can already tell you that like we're gonna get a call from the preschool. Winston tackled so and so.
Oh my gosh, Winston is actually wild, but I hope by the time, how old's Penelope? She's like 6. I hope by the time Winston's 6, he knows not to scratch people in the face, but who knows?
I mean, yeah,
I tell him every day.
I don't think he'll do that. I don't think he'll do that. But he'll
Yeah.
definitely be out here tackling people.
Oh my gosh, that kid is so aggressive. Yeah, it really is hard to criticize people's kids because, like, on the one hand, you're like, could you please get it together? But also, it's like, that's kind of bad karma. Like, we'll criticize people's kids once our kids are 20 and we know that they're safe. They've, like,
Right.
been
They've been
good,
kids.
good members of society. Yeah.
Dang.
All right. So, the Armenia trip, I thought Courtney was tacky here and she was complaining the whole time. And then she got home and she was like, I would go back.
It's like, really?
Why? You were so ornery.
You were bothered.
You're so bothered. You didn't want to be there. The paparazzi and the fans were bothering you. And Kim flat out in her confessional was like, we are here to work. I loved when she was like, we are here to be loud. Like, we are here to be seen. We are here to be heard. And we're here to make statements about this Armenian genocide. Like, I just feel like, and it makes me think back to her True Hollywood Story, where there's a quote about, like, her fame and everything. And she says, I just think I was made for this.
Yeah.
And
Honestly, that's how I feel.
I think you think that about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So this is your True Hollywood Story, and we'll just quote you from this podcast
Yo,
later.
for real. I mean, right?
I think so, yeah.
That's my personality. Always has been.
Yeah. But I mean, when you compare Kim and Courtney, it's like very evident as well. Like, that is Kim's personality, and she handles herself with such grace. Like, when she was talking about the fans and just the whole thing, and she approached it from like, I am just full of gratitude to be here. I'm so thankful that we're able to be here and that people can look to us as good examples. And I mean, I don't know. I thought that was a very poised response where Courtney just complained the whole time and was, my legs hurt. I'm like, aren't you 40 years old? Get off the ground. She's 40.
She's 40.
She's 40 and she was acting like a 10-year-old.
Isn't J-Lo 40?
J-Lo's 50.
Come on. Step it up, Courtney. J-Lo is 50. She's out here
And she has legs.
performing at the halftime show, doing all sorts of work. Come on.
Yeah. So, like, comparing a vacation to the halftime show, is that what you're getting at?
Honestly, I'm not really sure the point that I'm making. All I know is that J-Lo's 50 and she's not complaining. So you can be 40
That's true.
and not be complaining.
That's true. All right. Well, now do you want to take a deeper dive into the fight, the physical altercation?
Yes, I do want to take a deeper dive. That is, this is our topic for today. The topic is, what do I call this? Like, communication within families.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Familial communication.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a word? Familial? Yeah.
Yeah, familial. Yes, that is a word.
Alleles. What?
Okay.
Familial communication. Okay, so here's my theory on, and we're going to use the Kardashians as an example.
Okay.
It is my belief, based on knowing Courtney so well, based on growing up with her and having been around her for many years now, it is my belief that Courtney knows that she has the lowest net worth in the family, right? She knows that she has the least going on, which is okay, like, which is completely fine. However, when you're in a family that clearly values, like, your work and like what you're bringing to the family table, I feel like it would be very easy to see yourself as the bottom of the totem pole. So I think because of that, and I mean, she's been that way for a while now. Like, it's pretty evident, you know, she's been the lowest ranking member of the family for a while. So I think because of that, it's really easy for her to compare herself to the other sisters and feel less than. But I don't think she communicates that to her family. So then when Kim and Khloe make these jokes about how, like, Courtney doesn't work, Courtney doesn't do anything, blah, 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 like, that's eating away at her joke by joke by joke, until it boils up, and then you get this big fight that they get into.
Right.
That being said, I think that within families, there are like a lot of different things that can be learned from that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that yeah? For example, the little jokes that we make towards other family members, weight jokes, financial jokes, jokes about their kids, jokes about, whatever it is. I'm imagining anybody listening has an example already within their family that they know of.
Yeah.
That we all joke about this family member for this reason. I think that, we can look at this situation and be like, hopefully this family member that we're joking about doesn't turn into Khloe or Kourtney Kardashian and start punching people in the face one day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. If I were to guess,
Sure.
All right, like the root of their fight, I feel as though it's more from she doesn't really know what she wants in life, and I think that's caused her a lot of unhappiness for like years, and she doesn't really know how to, kind of agreeing with you, like it's built up. She doesn't know how to find that happiness. She's trying to replace it. She's trying to make a poosh a thing, and nobody knows what it is. But along the same lines of like, making jokes that cut a little bit too deep. I definitely am one that if you make a joke about something that I'm already insecure about or something I'm already overthinking, my immediate reaction is like to be a fighter and to get in a fight with you or to get worked up or to get really emotional about it. And I think that it's on both parties of like, okay, well, I can do a better job of understanding that somebody is making a joke and also explaining to my family why that joke isn't really funny.
Key. That's key. And I think that's the part that Kourtney's missing.
Yes. Well, I think that she thinks she's expressing it well, but she's like, get this narrative out of your head that I don't work and da-da-da-da. Again, we kind of touched on this last week, or I don't remember if it was last week or the week before, but figuring out the best way that you communicate and the best way you receive communication, like for everyone involved. So maybe her saying like so aggressively, like, get that narrative out of your mind. I'm so sick of this narrative. Like, maybe that's not the best way that her sisters communicate, is feeling also attacked.
Right.
So Kourtney does feel like she's expressing something, but it's not being received well because that's not how they receive the communication.
A good example of how it seems like Kim receives communication is Khloe talking to her about having Tristan over.
Oh my gosh, that was such a good example.
Yeah. So Khloe is like, Kim, very glad that you and Tristan are kind of, making up and things are good there. But Tristan and I aren't at that same place. And I don't want to give anyone the wrong idea that we are. This is the first time that he's ever been over without True here. So please, like, make sure that I still have my space and that we're doing this on my time.
Yeah.
And like, there wasn't even a moment of hesitation on Kim's part of like, oh wow, like I see where I screwed up here.
Yeah, and she wasn't attacking Khloe in response either. And Khloe was very calm. I think that Khloe kind of used that tried and true sandwich communication, where you're acknowledging that someone didn't mean to hurt your feelings, but that it did hurt your feelings.
Right.
And
because then you don't come off as accusatory. And as soon as you do, the other person's walls go way up.
Yes, I think that if you can approach someone calmly and, 95% of the people we surround ourselves with aren't out to get us necessarily. I mean, I think the exceptions could be like maybe in your industry or at work, like you have one person that is just like,
Sure. Out to get your promotion.
yeah, just that. I don't know. I'm not speaking from experience, but I'm acknowledging that that's probably where you could receive that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when we're discussing with most people, it's safe to assume like they are not trying to ruin our lives. So we don't need to approach them as if they're trying to ruin our life. Like I've had to figure this out with my mom. We kind of communicate. Well, we used to communicate in the same way, which between the two of us, like if she said something to me or, brought up a concern to me, I just felt so attacked. I felt so attacked and heated. And it wasn't until I grew up and went to college and that sort of thing did I realize, like, I don't need to be doing that. Like, this is my mom and she's only bringing up concerns because she really cares,
Right.
And I don't need to attack her every time she's saying like, oh, hey, like maybe, I can't even think of an example, but like back in the day, like, oh, maybe you shouldn't wear that. Like, I don't need to be attacking or accusatory of her. She's not trying to ruin my life, understanding people's motives better. Like Chloe acknowledging, I think it's so great that you are trying to be friends with Tristan and be friendly and accepting him. And that's true, right? At the end of the day, that's true. And Kim's only doing that because he's True's dad and that makes them family forever. So she's trying to extend this olive branch. Chloe acknowledges that. Chloe knows that it's not coming from a bad place. And therefore she's able to calmly say, I would like you to change this about that.
Almost
that
like
would make me more comfortable.
But no thanks.
Yes. And
a nice thanks, but no thanks.
Mm-hmm. And I think it takes a lot of maturity on both ends to say that statement. And then also, Kim's response being so calm, like, oh my gosh, I can't remember her words, but she said something like, am I getting nosy again? Am I getting too involved again? And I just liked that she said that because she acknowledged what Chloe was saying, but also that she's done this before and she has been nosy and overstepped. And it takes a lot of humility to do that. And that's something we could all, use more of and practice more of.
I feel like I'm back in middle school because I've told you this before. So like me, my mom, my sister would watch like... We'd watch like The Bachelor or just some like reality television show. And then like Family Home Evening was picking apart the show afterward and like looking at all the different personality types and identifying
it's so
how
smart.
we can apply it in our own lives. Yeah.
Well, it's like a story problem for math, but in real life, like what if Kelly had said this to Peter on The Bachelor, and how would that have changed the conversation? And I think that's really smart to do that with your kids and to show them an example of this is how someone's doing it in another family, or this is a really bad example. Like you and I were watching Nanny 911 like a month ago, and there was some really bad examples of communication in there.
Yeah. Yo, shout out Super Nanny. She's still out here.
Super Nanny, yes.
Yeah, the British one. Don't remember her name right now. Joe Fletcher.
Nanny Joe.
Yep. Joe Fletcher? Is that it? I don't remember.
No, that's not right. That's JoJo Fletcher from The Bachelor.
Oh, yeah. Joe.
Nanny Joe.
What's her last name? Because she listens to our podcast, so we just
Joe Frost.
Joe Frost.
What a great last name. What a great name, Joe Frost.
Joe Frost, great name. Lauren Speed, great name. Anyway, all that to say, I think that there's a lot that can be gleaned from this episode when it comes to how to communicate effectively within a family. And we can look at the way Courtney communicates, the way Chloe does. The last part that I kind of wanted to pick apart was, although Courtney didn't need to get to like throwing bows, Kim didn't need to jab at her twice during that bedroom scene where they're all, where the fight happens. So Kim makes that joke about how like Kim's
Kendall.
like,
Oh yeah, she's talking to Kendall.
she's talking to Kendall, right? But she's saying how me and Courtney, Chloe, are always working, blah blah blah. And Courtney doesn't hear it the first time, and like Kim didn't need to say it again because that's what set her off. Is like when she was retelling it, and she was like, "Yeah, I said me and Courtney, Chloe."
Yeah, very like she could have gotten away with not. Like Courtney didn't need to know that Kendall and her were having this type of a conversation, and the fact that Courtney was really set off by it just shows you like where she was, because it at the end of the day it was technically a fight between Kendall and Kim.
Right.
But Courtney like saw herself in the fight, and like
well that's what she saw herself in the fight because Kim dragged her into it unnecessarily.
yeah,
she didn't need to say.
She definitely did not need to say that.
Yeah. So I think that's another example of like siblings or family members know what's going to tick off another family member.
Yeah.
And just save yourself the headache or the scratches in the arm or the foundation on the wall.
Yeah.
And don't do it.
Right.
Don't make the unnecessary, unneeded joke. I think that we can look at this episode, think about our own families, and maybe pick out some ways that we can communicate better within our families.
Yes. Great idea. Okay. Snowballing off of that familial conversation topic, let's roll right into Dear Internet's Mom and Dad. I just want to start off by saying we've gotten some really good submissions. And if you don't hear yours this week, tune in next week or the week after. We're collecting them as they come in. All right, the first one. My question is, how do you deal with toxic in-laws? Mainly stepmother-in-laws and stepsister-in-law. We are newlyweds, and since we got married, all we have received from his family is negativity. He's told me stories of things that happened when he lived at home, and now it's just gotten worse. So she didn't send in...
that's like eerily vague.
I know. She didn't send in exact examples, but just right off the bat, like, we have to acknowledge that there are levels of what is quote-unquote a toxic relationship, right? And my first reaction when I read this was, I think what's best is for you and your spouse to go to therapy together and talk about this situation with someone who's unbiased. Because in this one message, like, she's not acknowledging what her husband thinks at this point of his mom and stepsister. And so you want to make sure that you guys are both on the same page.
Right.
And he's feeling, if it truly is toxic and an unhealthy relationship, like, you want to make sure that he feels that way as well. And it's not just like you feeling isolated in the family.
Right. Yeah. I think the therapy thing is a really good idea, because at the end of the day, right, like, the relationship is you and your husband. So if you guys are on the same page, then you can have a better idea of, all right, how do we approach this? How do we approach this situation?
And at the end of the day, like, you should never write off family members, like, especially parents, like, unless it's truly something so severe. Like, a lot of times, and going right along the line with familial communication, if you go to therapy and you're given proper tools of how to approach someone better, maybe you can approach your mother-in-law and have a calm conversation, and maybe it'll take some time, but there could be a resolution there. Like, you don't want to write something off unless you've truly tried all of the steps first.
Yeah. And just calmly say how you feel.
Okay, this next one it just makes me kind of laugh. Okay. The question is, how do I kick out my roommate?
What?
I know. I didn't want to tell you in advance because
In the butt. You kick him out.
Oh my. Like, it's a cartoon. Okay.
In Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, at the beginning, when they throw him out the house, that's how they should do it.
Okay. But I own own my 900 square foot house and my bedroom shares a walls. All right. Can we all spell check our text before we send them to Annie? Because Annie can't spell check them on the spot. Thank you very much.
All right, fair.
I own my 900 square foot house and my bedroom shares a wall with every room in the house except for hers. Bottom line, this quarantine is showing me that the time has come for me to not have a roommate anymore or ever again.
Does she have any other roommates or is it?
No.
Okay.
She's messy.
Yikes.
She has had more, in parentheses, honestly serious, in parentheses, relationships in the past 18 months than I've had in my whole life. And she lets the microwave beep for 10 minutes every night after she heats up her warm rice bag, which smells up the whole house. Again, 900 square foot house. This was supposed to be kind of temporary. We were distant friends and she needed a place ASAP, but was planning on moving back to Colorado and quitting her job at some point. Turns out she's super indecisive and can't pull the trigger, so she's still here. She's kind and nice and charming, but I just can't deal. A few months ago, she did breach the subject by saying, "I'm so sorry. Is it okay that I still live here?" Other than that, I've never raised her rent and she hasn't had to pay for any utilities.
What?
But loves to leave every light on in the house. So the question is, do I raise her rent? Do I tell her I want to live alone? How do you kick someone out lovingly? She's 35 and it's time for her to be indecisive somewhere else. Also, obviously, I shouldn't kick her out during a quarantine, but
I mean,
I
if you gotta kick somebody out, you gotta kick them out. No, I mean, she's not gonna do it during the quarantine.
no.
But, okay, first things first. I would decide how long can I put up with this. Realistically, can I put up with this for another month, 2 months, 6 months, 12 months? Like, realistically, what can I put up with? And then, now let's work backwards based on that timeline. So if it's like, I can deal with this for another 3 months, today, as soon as you hear this podcast, approach her with, all right, so it seems like, it's a little bit more long-term, you being here. Utilities every month are this amount. I think that we should start splitting that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's add some financial, add a financial aspect to this. I don't know what she's paying for rent right now.
Yeah, that would be my first question is like, did you undercharge her to begin with because it was going to be short term?
And if you did, okay, now the first thing that comes to my mind is just like, whatever the mortgage is, like, let's just cut that in half. And
yes, 100%.
You're paying half, I'm paying half. Or just give her the whole mortgage.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, now you're paying my mortgage. Thank you very much.
This is actually half. No, I agree. I think that just for your peace of mind and your sanity, like, you need the financials to be balanced out first and foremost.
Because now at least it's no longer a financial liability, which it sounds like it is. If she's,
it just sounds financially annoying, to be honest. Like, she's not saying that she's like destitute for this money. She's saying she could pretty much live on her own if she wanted to. But I think that
and if she's 35, she likely has a full-time job that is.
Oh my gosh, I would hope. Yeah, no, I think that, make things right by charging what you need to charge for rent and utilities. And I think that's honestly fine to bring up during a quarantine as long as you know.
Now is the perfect time because your scapegoat can be like, hey, it's quarantine season. Corona times are tough. We got to do something about these finances. I think that's a perfect out to bring that up.
Right, but doesn't that like bring up all of the topics of like, landlords can't raise rent during quarantine. Like those, didn't that just get passed in LA? I know, but like there's talks of that.
Right, but I feel like it's different if it's like your management company that is faceless that you don't know is like, hey, we're raising your rent just like every other year, we're raising your rent, as opposed to, hey, this is the person that I live with that I know owns the house, that I know X, Y, and Z about, and we're in this together.
True, but I don't know if you should blame it on the quarantine for that reason and for the reason of like, what if the quarantine ends in 2 weeks? And she's like, so now we're good, right? Like money's not as tough. Like I don't think
that's a good point.
What happens when the quarantine ends up being shorter than we think? I mean,
well then, so can she not raise it at all during quarantine?
No, I mean, I think she should. I think she can. I just don't think she should blame it on quarantine. Because then when the quarantine goes away, I feel like the roommate could come back and be like, so now that quarantine's over.
Right. I get that point, but you're saying that during the corona times, people shouldn't be raising their rent. So regardless of if she's blaming it on the quarantine or not.
No, I was asking, is that like a thing? Like, is that a humanless thing to do?
Right. Well, perhaps it is. So maybe you have to wait until after the quarantine is done.
Oh, this is such a tricky situation.
Yeah, this is tough.
I think for sure add in the utilities now though, because she's been using the stuff, so she needs to pay for the stuff, and that's
add in the utilities.
Yeah, that's understandable regardless.
And then after the corona season is through, then let's
but like back
rent.
to kind of your side of things, is like, is that awkward to be like, okay, we're gonna raise utilities, and then like in a little bit we'll also raise rent. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's better to just do it all at once.
I don't think you bring up the rent right now. You just do the utilities.
Okay.
And then once everything is back to normal, then you say, okay, and by that time, more time will have elapsed. So you can be like, all right, so you kind of been here for a while. It seems like this is more of a permanent thing. Let's talk about this rent.
Yeah. And I think that at that point, so raise or charge utilities now. And then once this quarantine is over, I think that's when you have the conversation of, hey, this is becoming more permanent. How long do you anticipate being here? Like, let's put a date on it. Because I also need to raise my rent, like cost of living prices, blah, 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 that sort of thing. Did I say that right? Cost of living prices? Yeah. I think that, take the baby steps, but definitely start charging. And I think once we're out of the quarantine and people's lives are more stabilized, you can really drill it in, like, how much longer do you want to live here? And then you can bring up the fact, like, one of my goals in the next year is to be living by myself. And so I just want to give you that kind of a heads up, or however you want to phrase it, but make it more about like, this is one of my personal goals, or I don't know. Oh, honestly, I think that's so rude that she has really overstayed her welcome. And also,
or you could just pretend to get coronavirus.
Where is she going to go?
I don't know. She'll figure it out.
Oh my gosh.
She would have to go somewhere.
All right. Well, I hope that advice is helpful.
Be like, yo, I got SARS and Ebola and coronavirus and swine flu.
And the swine flu. It's made a comeback.
Yeah, and bird flu.
And what's the one for mosquitoes?
West Nile?
Zika.
Oh, yo, I forgot about Zika.
Resurrect the Zika.
Yeah, I got them all. So, when are you leaving?
Okay. Last one.
Yeah.
We had a lot
Hopefully
of good ones,
helps.
but I know. I hope that helps. I wanted to read this one because I feel like I'm in the same boat.
Oh, okay.
Kind of.
Oh, okay.
Essentially, she's saying, she kind of wrote 3 different ones, but she's
like
talking
3
about
completely different questions?
No, they're kind of like, it's like a 3-part question.
Oh.
But I'll read the full thing, and then the part I want to focus on. How do you recommend I keep my mental/spiritual health up and positive during this time? Do you have any recommendations as to how to pass the time? I'm losing hope and having a hard time staying positive. So it's kind of like all one thing, but like branched out. I just really want to focus on like how to stay positive right now. Because we are on week 4, and it's, to be completely honest, like really wearing on me at this point.
Mm-hmm. There have been some tears.
There have been some tears, and, it's all mixed in with being postpartum and having 2 kids and being exhausted and nowhere to go and nothing to really look forward to. And so there's definitely been a roller coaster. And I think that the first thing to remember in this time, this hard, difficult time, is everyone's going through the same thing, right? This is the first time in our lifetimes that the entire world is feeling the same emotions. So you are not alone.
True.
I think there's a lot of comfort in knowing I am not alone.
You are not alone. I'm here for you.
Oh, oops. All I have to offer is the snaps right now. So first and foremost,
You're not alone.
You're not alone. Second thing that I noticed that we have done a couple of times is to surprise our friends or family, or take dinner to someone, take a treat to someone. You could even send like an Amazon package to a friend, sending DoorDash or Grubhub to a friend. I think that sort of thing, like while you are serving someone, is so self-serving in terms of like, it's going to make you feel great.
True. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
Now is the time to serve people, because you need to be feeling those happy feelings from service.
I know. And it sounds so cliche, like serve others when you're feeling sad, but it really made me feel so happy. And just to like, to recognize that our friends are, again, going through the same thing. And that's the least we can do, is do something kind for them.
Oh, you know what I just thought of? What like could be a fun thing is writing letters and mailing them to your friends.
Like, let's have some pen pals up in here.
Yeah, pen pals.
Flat Stanley.
Flat Stanley. I don't know that reference.
Oh, it's like a book or something. And we did it in elementary school. We did like, I think it's you read the book and the person, there's like a Flat Stanley character, and he's literally like a flat person, and he can get mailed around. But then we got pen pals like from other parts of the country, like other elementary schools swapped, and then you mail your Flat Stanley to
some other kid.
That's
fun.
That's the only part of the memory I have. I don't know if I ever got a letter.
The only Stanley I know is Stanley Yelnats.
Oh my gosh.
Holes.
We love a good holes reference. All right. Well, do you feel...
Write a letter to you. Well, hold on. So there were a few other parts to that. Staying positive.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask you. What else do you have to contribute? Because I feel like you have a lot of good ideas.
In terms of your mental health, this is very important. This is, if you get anything from this podcast, get this. You need to set goals. You need to set goals and create plans to work towards those goals. That goes for Corona season, flu season, spring season,
allergy
season, whatever it is.
But what do you, like, what's a good goal? Because I was thinking that same thing, but...
The goal is completely contingent upon who you are.
Yes, but please give an example of what you can accomplish during Corona season, because I think a lot of people feel like I cannot accomplish anything. I can't go to the gym. I can't hang out with my friends. I can't. I don't know what other goals people have. But.
Sure. If it's a fitness goal, you don't need a gym. If you have a floor, you can do push-ups. You can do sit-ups. You can do, I don't know, all sorts of things at home.
Okay.
So fitness goals, there's no excuse. If you have a work goal of some sort, assuming that you have a job that allows you to work from home, you can figure out, okay, from home, what are some things that I can do to go above and beyond?
True.
If you
want to start a podcast.
If you want to start a podcast, Amazon is open. Order a microphone and some headphones.
There you go.
Yeah, and start a podcast.
Okay, those are great examples. Thank you for offering them.
Yeah, I don't think that there aren't too many things that you can't do or that you can't start.
Right.
If you want to live a fulfilling life, you have to have goals, and you have to be working towards those goals. Otherwise, you're not filling anything.
True. Yeah, I agree. I think that my only hesitancy in making a goal goes back to my four tendencies, the four tendencies and my tendency to be an obliger. And when I don't, and most obligers, when you don't follow through on your goal, you feel really, really bad. And I can't think of anything worse than feeling like a failure during coronavirus and quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my only hesitancy.
So how do
personally.
you, as an obliger, lead a fulfilling life? Because I think that goals is a universal thing, regardless of your tendency type.
Well, I mean, I think the desire to make and set goals definitely is. I think for me with goals, what is hard is saying I need to wake up at 8 every day. Like I'm going to wake up at 8 every single day. And then I'm going to work out every single day. And then I'm going to read Winston stories every single day. I'm going to, and like setting something that feels super permanent. So I think like a good stepping stone, because, you know, goals have to be quantifiable, is to say whatever I'm going to work towards, instead of putting it on my shoulders that I need to do this every day, I'm going to say I'm going to work out 2 times this week. I can pick the day. It doesn't need to be at a certain time. It doesn't need to be at the same time every day. Like I'm just, you know, start slow.
That's great.
That would be my obliger personality, which that's what I have been doing, is working out. I finally got clearance from my doctor to start working out. And in order to make it so it doesn't feel like I am locking myself into something and really committing, which then I'll fully feel failure if I don't do it. I just say, okay, I'm not going to work out for an hour a day. I'm not even going to work out for half an hour a day. I'm going to work out for 20 minutes a day. Like I can take in 20 minutes of my day and like mentally and physically I can work out for that amount of time. So I think if
so
that
the frequency
and the duration, like if that is your worry, like really scale it back, really make it so manageable to where, okay, once I've mastered this 20 minutes a day for 3 weeks or a month, like let's move it to 30 minutes.
Yeah. I saw a tweet that said, guys, keep in mind, this is a pandemic, not a productivity contest.
Totally.
And I 50% agree with that. Don't get down on yourself if you're not being as productive as the next person, right? I mean, there's the cliche of don't compare your page 1 to someone's page 20.
Right.
So don't do that. However, don't allow the pandemic to turn you into a lazy piece of nothing.
True.
Allow yourself to be productive. Don't force yourself into some frenzy where you get burnt out, but allow yourself to be productive, because that productivity will bring some sort of mental happiness. That's human nature.
Right. And I think I've noticed a lot of our friends, as we're coming to like literally week 4, a month of this.
A month.
Our feelings are evolving and changing from what they were. So at the beginning, I was like, great, yeah, we're going to be productive. We're going to be this, we're going to be that. I've heard it be compared to like we're all going through the stages of grief in order to come to acceptance. And what's scary is we don't have a timeline. So I think just understanding that our day-to-day can change mentally and emotionally, and do what you need to do in order to, you know, feel those emotions.
Yeah.
If you need to cry, just cry, you know. If you need to, if you're feeling upbeat and happy and you want to do a craft, then do a craft. But don't do a craft like you're saying because you're in a contest.
You're not in a contest.
You're not in a contest. And we don't know how long this is going to last. So it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, very much so. The third thing that she said was spiritually. How do you keep yourself positive or uplifted? If you're religious, perhaps use this time to take a deep dive into your religion. Learn about some of the doctrines that you believe in. Really ask yourself some some deeper questions on the religious front. Why do I believe these things? Why don't I believe these things? Really take a deep dive into that. If you're not religious and you're just looking for some stronger sense of like spiritual connection, read something. Read that book that you've been interested in but haven't had the time to do. Meditate. Take time at the beginning of your day or at the end of the day or the middle of your day, because we're all doing nothing. But carve out some time to meditate and to think, to exercise gratitude, to voice those things to the universe. Whether you call it the universe, whether you call it God, whether you call it whatever it is. Take that time to connect to something higher than yourself, or connect to the people around you. Stay 6 to 8 feet apart, but connect spiritually to the people around you.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, my last thing is, I was missing my friends a couple nights ago, right? And I just got this idea to make a video of all of my videos that I had of my friends, all of the past about year or so experiences that I have recorded on my phone. And I made like a quick compilation, and it made me feel so good. It reminded me how lucky and how blessed we are, and how we've had such a beautiful life, and how our friends are amazing and our family's amazing. And it just like gave me this reset. And I have watched that video, like, I'm not lying, 75 times in the last 2 days. It just makes me feel so good. And it's okay to get excited and about something in the future, and that we will be able to be excited again. It might be not for a while longer, but the same feeling of going to see Kanye West at Sunday service and like the excitement, or the Ariana Grande concert, or going to Disneyland, or birthday parties, like we're going to have that again.
Yeah.
And looking back on the memories that we've had of those experiences reminds me that we are going to have that again in our future. We are going to feel excited again. So I would just say, make a quick video. You can do it on your iPhone in iPhotos.
You can also, I think that iPhones now come with iMovie.
Make a quick video. It's so easy. It's so easy.
If you have an Android, I don't know what you're doing, but good luck.
Yeah. I am no video expert at all, but I was able to whip this up so fast, and anything that I had questions about, I just watched like a 2-minute YouTube video. And it's by no means like the fanciest video in the world, but it brings me such joy. So I would recommend doing that, and then rewatch that every time you feel sad, or make a new one every time you feel sad, like of more memories.
Yeah. Or and then text the people that are in those videos, see how they're doing.
Yeah.
And then write them a handwritten letter.
And then write them a handwritten flat, Stanley.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is it for our Dear Mom and Dad segment. If you have any questions that you would like our advice on, feel free to send it in. We really appreciate it so much that you guys are tuning in each week, writing in, following us on Instagram, engaging with us there. It's been so fun. So thank you. Follow us at The Internet's Mom and Dad on Instagram.
Send us an email, theinternetsmomanddad@gmail.com.
Oh yeah. Send us a letter. We're not going to put our address in here. Sorry.
Yeah.
And we love you guys.
We love you.
Stay safe out there, 6 to 8 feet apart.
Peace and blessings.
Bye, y'all.